Hey there everyone, and welcome back to Leo Gaming. This is a review for the third of the modern trilogy, Shadow of the Tomb Raider. This is, once again, you play Lara Croft and you travel to, well, you're trying to stop a cataclysmic event from ending the world, where again you will fight Trinity in various locations. So I'm going to start off with the visuals, which I would say, again, this looks even better than the first two. They've improved in increments from the first to the second to the third. It holds up extremely well, which is not surprising. It is the latest one, and it looks superb. I mean, even compared to a lot of today's games, it looks absolutely fantastic. They use within the jungle environment, because you are in the jungle environment quite a bit, they use the good lighting effects where the lights come through the trees, etc. And they also use volumetric fog, which gives like a haze across the environment, which gives it an added touch of realism. They use high definition textures, which also adds to the realism, being as you're going to be up close to a lot of the textures, being in a very close, tight-knit environment. So yeah, I would say the visuals absolutely look fantastic, even playing it in 2021. With the sound, moving on to the sound, to be honest, I'm not a sound expert, but I don't have any problems with the sound. I would only pick up on that if there's something that I don't really, that is blatantly obvious it's not working in regards to the sound. I mean, they've got great ambient sound within the jungle environment. And so yeah, I mean, that's as much as really I want to say on the sound. Standard sounds really. Onto the mechanics. So you've got a story mode, which is obviously standard, being Tomb Raider. You've got an online multiplayer, which I don't play. I don't think anyone played it really. So I don't even know what it's about. I've not even looked at it. And you've also got tomb challenges. So once you complete the games, you can the story mode, you can repeat some of the tombs, but with added incentives and added challenges to it, or certain criteria you have to meet. They've also added a better adjustment of the difficulty level. So now you can adjust how difficult the combat is, how difficult the stealth is. It's a lot more customizable, as well as your standard easy, medium, hard settings that you get. So there is a bit more customization with the difficulty. They still have the base camp save points, where you can upgrade your weapons and spend your skill points, stuff like that, which the base camps are always slightly annoying, purely because on this one especially, there's a big gap between some base camps. So you find that you've got about 3 or 4 skill points built up, but you can't spend them until you get to the next base camp, and it can be a bit tedious sometimes. So the area you're in a lot of jungle areas. So you start off in Mexico, and then you move on to Peru. The jungle areas of Peru, where you get, they've done it quite well, to be honest. You've got all the wildlife, you've got animals roaming around, you've got monkeys climbing on the trees and stuff like that, frogs on the ground sort of near the ponds and stuff like that. So they're the sort of environments that you're going to be in mainly here. So more hot environments, and the previous two were more sort of cold environments, so they've gone the other way this time and tried to make it a bit different, which is good. You also get side quests, where the side quests are a lot longer in this one from the NPCs. They've made them a little bit longer. There's a lot more puzzles solving to do in this game, which there's less combat in this whole entire game. You get a lot more puzzle solving, which is a lot better, because that was more the original Tomb Raider. The first two, there was a lot more action, combat-y orientated, a lot of shooting, but this one they've dumbed down on that a little bit and kept it to this feels more like the original Tomb Raiders, which is good, a lot better. In regards to the NPCs, I'll be honest with you, every single NPC or mission giver, as they call them, look, it's exactly the same character. I mean, how lazy was that? It's exactly the same character. And I swear down, actually going back to sound, I'm pretty sure that it's the same voice actor doing pretty much a lot of the NPC voices. But yeah, they could have at least varied the NPCs a little bit on there. You also will level up on your XP from gaining artifacts and memos. Again, these are the collectibles where, you know, you collect them around the map, and you gain XP from them, and from the XP you'll get skill points gained for the skill tree. And sort of talking about the skill tree, it's a little bit different. It's the same skills, but they've just dressed it up different. You now get 3 sets: warrior, seeker, scavenger, and you can spend your skill points in whichever category you want to sort of customize. It doesn't really make a difference, I find. I mean, you can spend them all over the place and it just doesn't make a difference. Next on is gameplay. You obviously got your standard free running and jumping, just as easy as it has been. Obviously, you get the odd glitches where Lara doesn't want to catch a ledge or something like that. They've sped up the climbing, because in the previous 2 it was a little bit slow, but they've sped it up this time. Only sort of, obviously, still at certain points you can climb where the sort of the surface of the cliff face is a bit jagged edge, and you know you can climb up it. She can now swim as well. She's done a lot better. The first one you couldn't swim. The second one you could swim, but only below the surface. This one you can now swim fully submerged, go anywhere and everywhere, where you can also get collectibles and loot from there. And also they've tried to sort of make it look a bit realistic underneath. You get fishes and piranhas swimming about, eels and electric eels and stuff like that. So they've done a pretty good job. They've improved it a lot more. Obviously, you would expect that from the 3rd and final sort of installment of this trilogy. The combat in terms of the weapons is still not the best. I've always found with these ones, it's not the best. The covering system's a bit jank. You know, it's not. But then again, this is not a dedicated first-person shooter. This is you know, supposed to be an exploration game with shooting sort of tacked on top. It does its job, but it's not brilliant. So don't expect some sort of, you know, Division or Call of Duty style shooting. More like Uncharted 1 style shooting. The weapon choices is the same as before. You still get, you know, sort of the assault rifle, shotgun, handgun, and bow and arrow. Again, you get various choices of them, and where you can upgrade them with the loot that you gain at your base camps that are dotted throughout the map. You also get loot, which is obviously your standard plants, trees, materials to upgrade your weapons and Lara's clothes. You get a much greater variation of Lara's clothes. I mean, a lot of the mission givers, the NPC side missions, if you complete them, you get a sort of, you get like a clothing item which has a perk to it. For example, you might get a pair of braces that give you, I don't know, you heal quicker after being injured and stuff like that. The loot system is all right. I just find I don't use it. I mean, I barely use craft arrows, so I barely use the herbs. And it just, the only thing I really want is the materials to upgrade the actual weapons themselves. I mean, the rest of it I don't really use at all. But that's just me. I mean, whether or not you want to use craft, you know, various poison arrows and explosive arrows, or herbs and create healing packs and stuff like that, and, you know, smoke bombs and stuff like that, that's down to you. But I tend not to. I just use what I've already got. I mean, you've already got the weapons there anyway. It's not like you're forced into crafting, but it's there if you want it. So yeah, in terms of this game, I would say this is the best of them all. I mean, the expanse, obviously, it's still a slightly linear map, but you've got massive, and I mean, they're a lot bigger this time, expansive areas within them, which there's a lot more to explore. The only thing with all 3 of these games, especially this one, because the areas are more expansive, I find that you're using the survival instinct a hell of a lot. You're running, and every 5 seconds, survival instinct, because a lot of the loot and the materials you wouldn't really be able to see. I don't know whether it's the colours and the way they've done it, but you have to use the survival instinct, I find, and it does get a bit annoying, especially when you're constantly having to do it to look for, you know, collectibles and stuff like that. So yeah, you've obviously, again, you've got the big open maps, you've got the monoliths where you upgrade, well, actually you collect the artifacts and the different memos, and voice notes and stuff like that, which will then give you more XP to then be able to read the monoliths like in the second game, and which then that will give you a location to a certain point. Obviously, the difference with this one as well, you can talk to a lot of NPCs which aren't mission givers, and they'll give you a clue as to where a bit of treasure is or an artifact actually is. So it's a bit of advice to go around and talk to all the NPCs that you can, because they will give you locations. So I mean, the previous two, you could only just sort of gain the sort of artifact map and stuff like that, the secret map or whatever it was. This one you can actually talk to NPCs, and it's a lot more fluid and natural, because you're actually being given the information by an NPC within the world. So yeah, so there are some good points, obviously, or a lot of good points. There are a couple of bad points, but I think the more ambitious you get with a game, the more, you know, bad points there will be within a game. But I would say this is the best of all three. It's quite good to play them all in a row, because then it does give you that feeling of, you know, a complete story, which I really enjoyed, and it does really give you that that sort of feeling of watching Lara grow as she goes through the, you know, as she becomes a lot more. The one thing I do find with this one is you can see Jonah is getting the right ump with her, and there is one thing in this, the third one, you start to see Lara slightly different, like almost she's very selfish and spoiled. That's how I saw her, just by the way she behaves. Like this, I'm not going to give it away, but she does something, and I think you're having a laugh. And I mean, you've just done this, and you're still talking about your own life, sort of thing, and you've just caused this accident. You'll see what I mean, and you can see Jonah growing apart from her in this game, which is a really good add-on to the story. It really brings a bit of depth to their relationship, and and if you've played all three, it's really good to see how they sort of, how Jonas, you could just tell he's getting the ump with her. Obviously you have to play the first two to really sort of see that and understand that. So yeah, like I say, this is the review for the 25th anniversary, so I've done the trilogy now, and I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you watch the first two, so then you can lead on to this one, and if you want to buy the games. If this helps you make a decision to buy the games, then great. If it doesn't, then oh well. So yeah, it's I've enjoyed it, and don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons, and I hope you enjoy. See you soon. Bye.